Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic:
medical professionals of Reddit. Have you ever had a patient so lacking in common sense you wondered how they made it this far? If so, what is your story? I'm a vet. A few years ago I had a client bring his young cat in complaining of lethargy. Besides being a bit underweight, the physical exam was unremarkable, so I asked more questions about the cat's diet. Me: what do you feed the cat? Owner: online trendy raw food brand. Me: how is his appetite? Does he finish what you feed him? Owner: yes, he always eats everything. Me: how much do you feed him? Owner: 1/2 cup. Me: once or twice daily. Owner: once every 3 or 4 days. Me: you only feed your cat twice a week. Owner: I believe in a more natural feeding approach. And based on my research, that's how often cats eat in the wild. This owner was slowly starving his cat to death based on some cockamamie idea he'd made up watching National Geographic. I had to explain to him that domestic cats are not tigers. And that small wild cats eat 10 to 20 small meals daily. Surprise, surprise, the cat's lethargy and weight improved with regular feeding. Thank God there's a happy ending. Once the cat was out of the bag. This is an excellent example of why discovering a fact doesn't mean you have the expertise to understand it in context. Right. And it's why we, as a society, depend upon credentialed experts to distill that raw knowledge to us in an actionable way. Or to use that knowledge to implement things. True, sometimes they get it wrong. Or sometimes, always, there are additional scientific discoveries to be made. But they have a lot better chance of arriving at a sound solution than Billy Bob with his computer. And 15 minutes on Google or some heavily biased website. I'm in the so many stories. The one that left me dumbfounded was a woman was brought in by her sister for pelvic cramps. Amenorrhea for 3 months. Lo and behold, she's pregnant. Sister informs me that she sleeps with the Brazilian construction workers building the condo complex next door. I ask if they have any questions. The patient asked me if her baby would come out speaking Spanish. After a long pause, and her sister staring at the ceiling, I told her, no, because they speak Portuguese in Brazil. Patient seemed relieved and the sister hustled her out of the before I could discharge her. Because they speak Portuguese in Brazil. Oh my God, to be a fly in that room must be epic. Sister informs me that she sleeps with the Brazilian construction workers building the condo complex next door. Like, all of them. Is this company hiring? I don't speak Portuguese, but I have enough Spanish that it will work out. Great response. Portugal, tears of joy. I used to be a medical oxygen tech, mostly doing in-home work. One guy was on such a high concentration that he would have drawn nearly zero oxygen from breathing regular atmosphere. This required 2 heavy-duty machines hooked up in tandem just to keep him barely alive. This was explained ad nauseum to him and his wife with full signed documentation of every conversation. They'd shut one machine off because they decided it was too loud. He'd take his mask off because he decided it was too cold. She would unplug the hose if she decided it was in the way. So on and so on. Literally everything you could think of that would restrict or cut off his oxygen intake. Then they would panic and call our emergency service when he started to have a reaction to no oxygen intake. I lived not even 5 minutes away, right beside Out M's fire station. And the call would always come to me to fix the machines at random times of the day and night. 3 to 7 days a week. They refused to call 911 because they didn't want to make a scene. This went on for ages. Well over 18 months. Until he was having trouble sleeping one night and shut the machines off before going back to bed. It's been years and I still see the wife around town. She always glares at me as if I'm the one who killed him. Christ. I fix medical equipment. And the amount of shit that happens because it's in the way, or otherwise inconvenient is exactly why I drink at night. Reminds me of the recent story where janitor was annoyed at noise. Shut off the thing. And destroyed 25 years of research totaling up about $1 million. Saw a chart once where a person came in for a burn to their eye. They told the doctor they read online that warm milk in the eye can help with irritation and their eyes were irritated. So they boiled milk and then poured it in their eye. Burned it all. Reminds me of that tweet. Someone went to their optometrist and he said, you can put some boiled water in your eye to rinse it. Look at me. Look at me. Let the water cool down first after you boil it. Like he knew that they'd dump a rolling boil right into their cornea without very explicit instructions. There's something poetic about an optometrist yelling with increasing intensity, look at me, while trying to help someone with eye problems. Rural doc here. 35-year-old female walks in with right-sided jaw, neck swelling. I think it happened because I ate some meat yesterday that my body is reacting to. 10 minutes later. Oh yeah, and I accidentally swallowed a bee and it stung me in my mouth right before this happened. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. A friend of my mother's died from a wasp that got into his drink. He swallowed it. It stung him on its way down. And despite having no allergy to stings, the swelling was enough to close off his airway. Okay, new fear unlocked. I am already paranoid about bugs going into a drink can, and I won't drink anything I left unattended a while. But that's just awful. Optometrist here. If I had a nickel for every time someone said they use urine for eye drops, I would have 10 cents. Which is not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Once is weird enough, but twice? What the hell? Wouldn't that sting? There's a whole thing about urine therapy. It's an interesting rabbit hole to fall down on Facebook. There used to be tons of groups of it. They think urine is a magical cure-all and do things like drink it, age it, then drink it, put it on their skin, put it in their eyes, etc. It's horrific.